She lived in a small town surrounded by hills and fields. She woke up every morning to the sound of birds and the soft light that came through her window. Her life was quiet and simple. She went to work at a small shop where she helped people with their daily needs. She liked the routine because it was safe but deep inside. She felt something was missing. She dreamed of seeing places beyond the town, but she never found the courage to go her. Days were filled with small tasks she prepared her. Meals walked through the streets and greeted neighbors. She knew most people in the town, and they knew her. They saw her as kind but quiet. She smiled often and helped when she could, but she kept her thoughts to herself. In the evening she would sit by the window and watch the mountains in the distance. She imagined what it would be like to climb them or wander in the woods. She wondered what it would feel like to breathe the air that was so different from the town she wanted to experience. Something new, but her life was tied to the familiar sometimes. She would take short walks in the nearby fields. She loved the feeling of grass under her feet and the sound of the wind in the trees. She felt free in those moments, but it was never enough. She always returned home to the same small house and the same quiet nights. She wished for change, but did not know how to find either. Family was small and she lived alone. She had a few friends, but they were busy with their own lives. She did not feel lonely, but she felt incomplete. She wanted a story of her own, something that would make her life feel bigger than the routine. Work, she noticed the little things. She watched people smile when they were helped. She noticed the changing seasons and the way the sunlight touched the mountains in the distance. She appreciated the small joys, but she longed for something more. One day she decided to take a longer walk than usual. Wandered along paths she had never taken. She walked through fields and small woods. She felt a thrill in the unknown, but also a little fear. She wondered what she might find if she went further. She imagined meeting someone who would change her view of life, or discovering something that would make her heart race. The mountains always seemed distant and mysterious. She watched them every day and dreamed of being closer. She imagined the stories hidden in the forests, and the streams that ran silently. She felt drawn to them as if they were calling her, but she had never followed that call. Her life was full of ordinary moments and quiet thoughts. She liked the comfort of routine, but her dreams pushed against the walls she had built. She wanted adventure, but did not know where to start. She wanted to feel alive in a way that went beyond daily life. She carried these thoughts with her every day like a secret she could not share. As the sun set, she would sit by her small table and look at the mountains again. She imagined the cold air and the sound of leaves underfoot. She thought of climbing high and seeing the world from above. She felt a mix of excitement and fear, but she could not let the thought go. Every
morning
she woke up and the mountains were there waiting. She wondered what life would be like if she let herself follow the feeling she had about them. She imagined meeting someone who could show her the way, or perhaps learning the skills to go on her own. She felt a small spark of hope that one day something extraordinary could happen. Her work and daily life continued, but the dream stayed with her. She carried it quietly in her heart like a light in the dark. She began to notice small signs around her: birds flying higher, streams glimmering in the sun, and paths in the woods. She felt that the world was bigger than she had realized. She began to take notes in her mind of the places she wanted to see. She imagined walking in the mountains, touching rocks, feeling the cool air, and listening to the silence. She imagined stories unfolding around her and a life that felt real and alive. One evening, she saw a figure in the distance on the path near the hills. She could not make out who it was, but she felt a strange sense of curiosity and fear. She wondered if it was someone who could guide her, or someone from the story she had imagined. She watched quietly and felt her heart beat faster. Days passed and the feeling of change grew stronger. She noticed the world differently. She saw beauty in the ordinary and possibility in the unknown. She felt that her life was waiting for a turning point, something that could bring her out of the quiet routine. She started to prepare herself quietly. She learned small skills like tying knots and reading maps. She practiced walking longer distances and paying attention to the sounds and signs of nature. She wanted to be ready if the moment came when her life would change her. Neighbors noticed she seemed different, but could not say why. She carried a lightness in her steps and a spark in her eyes. She smiled more often and dreamed more vividly. She felt alive in a way she had never known. The mountains remained distant, but she no longer saw them as untouchable. She imagined stepping into their shadow and discovering hidden paths. She imagined meeting someone unexpected who could show her courage and help her see life in a new way. She continued her routine, but now with purpose. Every day she added small steps. Toward the unknown, she felt the pull of the mountains and the possibility of a life she had only imagined. She wondered what would happen if she dared to follow that feeling. Morning, she woke up with a strong urge to go further than ever before. She packed a small bag with food, water, and essentials. She felt a mix of fear, excitement, and hope. She looked at the mountains and felt that today could be the day her life would begin to change. She walked along paths she had never taken, noticing the small joys in the world. She listened to birds' water flowing and wind in the trees. She felt a connection to the earth and the mountains as if they were speaking to her. She felt alive and ready as she reached the edge of the woods. She paused. She felt the weight of what she was doing, but also the thrill of the unknown. She realized that life could be bigger than she had imagined, and that the mountains could hold more than beauty. They could hold the start of a story she would never forget. She continued walking, thinking about the life she wanted to live. She imagined courage, freedom, and discovery. She felt that the ordinary life she had known was only the beginning, and that something extraordinary awaited her just beyond the hills. Her heart was full of hope and curiosity. She felt ready for the journey. She did not know what she would find, but she knew she was no longer the same person who watched the mountains from a distance. She was stepping toward a life that could change forever. She walked deeper into the woods, feeling the cool shade around her. The air smelled of earth and leaves, and the soft sound of a distant stream filled her ears. She felt alive in a way she had never felt before. Each step took her farther from the town and closer to the mountains. She wondered what awaited her in the unknown. She had dreamed of this for so long, and now she was finally moving toward it. As she walked, she noticed signs of life all around. Birds flitted between branches and small animals scurried through the undergrowth. She felt a sense of connection to the world around her. It was quiet and still, but full of energy. She realized how much she had missed by staying within the walls of her routines. Suddenly she heard a rustle in the bushes. Faster, she could not see anything at first and wondered if it was just the wind, but then a figure appeared from the trees. A man emerged slowly and cautiously. He was tall and strong with rough clothes and a weathered face. He moved with care, but there was a quiet strength in his steps. She felt a mixture of fear and curiosity. The man looked at her with steady eyes. He did not speak at first, but his presence was calm and reassuring. She felt that he was aware of the world in a way she had never seen before. She tried to say something, but her voice caught in her throat. She realized she had never been this close to someone so different from the people she knew. He nodded slightly and then pointed to the path ahead. She understood that he wanted her to follow, but she hesitated. She felt nervous, but also a strange trust in him. She decided to move slowly, following his lead. She felt the crunch of leaves under her feet and the steady rhythm of his steps beside her. They walked together. Through narrow paths and over small streams, the man seemed to know every rock and tree along the way. He moved with ease, as if the forest belonged to him. She could not help but admire his skill and the quiet way he carried himself. She felt her heart open to the possibility that she was part of something larger than herself. After a while, they reached a small clearing with a gentle scream. The man knelt and took a small bundle from his bag. He offered her some water and bread. She accepted. Gratefully, feeling the simple kindness of the gesture, she realized how much she had longed for someone to understand the world. As he did, he began to show her simple ways to move through the forest, how to notice the sounds and signs around her. She listened carefully, absorbing every detail. She felt a new awareness growing inside her. She realized that she could trust herself to navigate this world if she paid attention and learned from someone who knew it well. The hours passed quickly. As they moved through the woods, he showed her hidden paths, small bridges over streams, and places to rest safely. She felt the thrill of discovery and the comfort of guidance. She began to feel a bond forming between them based on respect and shared experience. At one point, they reached a steep hill. She hesitated, looking at the climb ahead. But he encouraged her quietly. She felt a mixture of fear and excitement. She began to climb slowly, following his steps. She felt her muscles strain and her breath quicken. But she also felt a sense of achievement with every step. She realized that challenges could bring growth and confidence. When they reached the top, she looked out over the landscape below her. The town seemed small and distant. The mountains stretched endlessly around her, and she felt the vastness of the world. She felt a sense of freedom she had never known, and the knowledge that she had taken the first step toward a new life. The man showed her a place where he sometimes camped, he pointed out. How to gather wood, make a small fire, and use the natural resources wisely. She listened and practiced carefully, feeling the connection to the land grow stronger. She realized that she could survive and thrive if she learned and paid attention. Evening approached. The sky changed colors, soft pinks and golds reflected in the stream. She felt peace and excitement at the same time. She realized that her ordinary life had prepared her for this moment in ways she had not understood she had. Patience, observation, and quiet strength that now served her well. They sat together by the stream and shared simple food. He told her about the mountains, how to respect them, and how to find safety and guidance in nature. She listened, absorbing each word. She felt a growing admiration for his wisdom and kindness. She wondered how someone could live so connected to the world and yet remain so mysterious. During the night, she noticed the stars appearing one by one. She felt the vastness of the universe and her small place in it. She realized that life could be both ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. She understood that the mountains held more than beauty. They held lessons, courage, and the possibility of change. She slept lightly. That night, with the sounds of the forest around her, the man kept a quiet watch but did not disturb her. She felt protected and respected. She realized that trust could grow even in the unknown. She felt her heart opening to new experiences and new ways of being. The next morning, they continued their journey through the mountains. She learned to observe animal tracks, how to find edible plants, and how to move quietly through the forest. She practiced each skill carefully, feeling more capable. With every step, she began to see herself as someone who could face challenges and learn from them. Discovered hidden streams and quiet glades. She felt joy in the small discoveries and excitement in the larger landscape. She realized that the mountains were teaching her patience, courage, and observation. She felt her mind and body becoming stronger and more aware. At one point, a sudden storm approached. The sky darkened and wind blew through the trees. She felt fear but remembered the man's lessons. He guided her to a safe place under a large rock overhang. She felt the shelter and protection he offered and realized that guidance and trust could save her. She waited calmly as the storm passed, feeling a new respect for the power of nature and the importance of preparation. After the storm passed, they continued walking. The forest smelled fresh and alive, the stream sparkled, and the birds returned. She felt relief and gratitude. She realized that life could be unpredictable and beautiful at the same time. She felt that every step she took was shaping her into someone stronger and wiser. Throughout the days that followed, she and the man grew closer. She began to understand his ways and his quiet wisdom. She learned not just about the forest, but about courage, resilience, and observation. She realized that the unexpected could bring growth and opportunity. She felt her life changing slowly and profoundly. She also discovered that the man had a gentle humor and kindness. Beneath his serious exterior, she laughed quietly at his stories and shared her own thoughts. She felt a sense of companionship that she had never known. She realized that connection could happen in the most unexpected ways. Every day brought new lessons and new experiences. She learned to move with care, to observe carefully, and to trust her instincts. She felt the joy of discovery and the comfort of guidance. She realized that her life had expanded beyond the ordinary, and that every day now held meaning and purpose. As they reached a high ridge, she looked out at the vast mountains. She felt awe and excitement. She realized that the journey was not just about walking through the forest, it was about learning to see the world differently. And to see herself differently, she felt a growing confidence and a sense that her life was transforming before her eyes. She knew that her ordinary life was behind her. She felt that the mountains and the man's guidance had opened a door to a life she had only dreamed of. She felt hope, courage, and curiosity. She realized that she had taken the first steps into a story that would change her forever. Days continued with learning and discovery. She practiced skills, patience, observation, and courage. She felt herself growing stronger and more capable. She also felt a deepening trust in the man who had appeared unexpectedly and changed the path of her life. She realized that life could surprise her in the most extraordinary ways. Evening they rested by streams or under trees. She reflected on the lessons of the day and the beauty around her. She felt gratitude and wonder. She realized that the mountains held more than challenges, they held wisdom and the possibility of transformation. She felt that she was becoming someone new, and that the ordinary life she had known was now only a memory. She began to feel a quiet excitement. Each morning as she stepped into the unknown, she knew that the journey would continue to teach her courage, observation, and trust. She felt ready to face what was ahead, knowing that the mountains and the man's guidance would help her. She realized that her life was now on a path she had never imagined, and that every day held discovery and growth. She had been walking through the mountains for many days now, and each day felt different, yet familiar. She noticed the way the sunlight moved through the trees and the changing colors of the leaves. She felt her senses opening in ways she had never experienced before. She began to understand the rhythms of the forest, the streams, the animals, and even the wind that whispered through the branches. The man walked beside her, calmly guiding her when necessary, but also giving her space to explore. She felt a deep respect for his quiet strength and the patience he had shown her. She had learned so much from him already, yet she felt there was always more to discover. She began to trust herself more and more with each step she took. One morning, they reached a small ridge that overlooked a valley filled with mist. She paused and took a deep breath. The sight was breathtaking and filled her with a sense of wonder. She realized that the world was far bigger than she had imagined, and that her life could be far richer if she embraced the unknown. She felt a thrill in her chest and a quiet determination to learn everything she could from this. Her about the patterns of nature, how to read the clouds, and understand the signs that animals left on the ground. She listened carefully, practicing each technique with dedication. She felt the power of knowledge and how it could transform fear into confidence. As they continued walking, she began to notice small details she had never paid attention to before. The way moss grew on rocks, the tracks of small animals in the soil, and the direction of the wind that carried scents from far away. She felt a new connection to the world and a growing sense of belonging. She realized that she was learning not just to survive, but to understand the life around her. Days passed, and she began to feel stronger and more capable. She learned to climb steeper hills, cross small rivers, and find safe places to rest. She felt a sense of accomplishment with every challenge she overcame. She also felt a growing bond with the man whose guidance had been steady and unwavering. She wondered about his life and how he had come to know the mountains so well. One afternoon, they found a hidden clearing with a small pool of water. She knelt by it and watched the reflection of the sky. She felt a sense of peace and clarity. She realized that the mountains were teaching her more than survival. They were teaching her patience, observation, and self-reliance. She felt her confidence growing and a quiet joy in being able to navigate the world with skill. The man showed her how to gather food carefully from the forest, how to prepare it, and how to use the natural resources wisely. She practiced each step, learning from mistakes and successes alike. She felt a growing pride in her abilities and a deep respect for the environment. She realized that knowledge came with responsibility, and that every action had meaning. As the sun moved lower in the sky, they found a safe place to rest for the night. She watched the colors change in the sky and felt a sense of wonder. She thought about how far she had come. From the quiet town she had left behind, she realized that her life was transforming slowly and profoundly. She felt courage, curiosity, and hope growing in her heart. During the night, she listened to the sounds of the forest and reflected on the lessons she had learned. She thought about trust, patience, and the importance of paying attention. She realized that the man's guidance had helped her see the world differently and also see herself differently. She felt a quiet gratitude for the unexpected, an encounter that had changed her path. The next day they moved through denser forests and over rocky terrain. She practiced moving carefully over uneven ground, noticing every step. She felt her body growing stronger and her mind sharper. She began to anticipate challenges and think ahead. She realized that confidence came from practice, observation, and learning from experience. Along the way, they encountered a small herd of deer. She watched quietly as the animals moved gracefully. She felt a deep respect for their beauty and the way they existed in harmony with the forest. She realized that life could be observed and appreciated without needing to interfere. She felt a growing connection to the natural world around her. As the days turned into weeks, she began to feel a rhythm. In her life, the mountains, the forests, and the streams became familiar companions. She learned to notice the subtle changes in weather, the patterns of birds, and the quiet messages of the land. She felt a sense of mastery and comfort in this new way of being. The man continued to teach her in his quiet way. He encouraged her to take risks safely, to trust her instincts, and to notice the details that others might overlook. She practiced each lesson with care and patience. She felt her confidence growing with every small success. She realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act. Despite it, one morning they reached a high plateau. She looked out at the vast landscape and felt a rush of excitement and awe. She realized that the mountains held endless possibilities for exploration and learning. She felt that every challenge she had faced had prepared her for this moment. She felt capable, ready, and alive. They spent the day exploring the plateau. She learned to find edible plants, spot signs of wildlife, and use natural materials for shelter and comfort. She felt a sense of independence and pride in her growing abilities. She realized that learning was not just about knowledge, but also about experiencing and practicing each. As evening approached, they settled near a quiet stream. She reflected on the journey so far and the lessons she had learned. She felt gratitude for the guidance and wisdom she had received. She realized that the mountains were not just a place, but a teacher, a guide, and a source of transformation. She felt a deep sense of belonging and purpose. Man shared stories of his own experiences in the mountains. His words were simple, but full of meaning. She listened attentively, feeling a deeper understanding of life and nature. She realized that every experience held lessons, and that every step forward was a step toward growth. She felt inspired and ready for whatever came next. Throughout the following days, she continued to practice the skills she had learned. She climbed higher hills, crossed wider streams, and explored deeper forests. She felt her body and mind growing stronger. She also felt a growing connection to the man who had become her guide and companion. She realized that trust, respect, and shared experience could create deep bonds. She began to see herself in a new light. She was no longer the quiet woman from the town. She was becoming someone confident, capable, and aware. She felt the thrill of discovery and the quiet satisfaction of mastering new skills. She realized that change was not sudden, but a gradual unfolding that came with patience and effort. One afternoon, they found a hidden cave. She explored it carefully, noticing every detail. She felt a sense of mystery and excitement. She realized that the mountains held secrets and wonders waiting to be discovered. She felt a deep appreciation for the world around her and the lessons it offered. As the days passed, she continued to grow and learn. She felt her senses sharpen, her mind open, and her heart full. She realized that every challenge, every step, and every observation was shaping her into a stronger and wiser person. She felt courage, curiosity, and a quiet joy in being alive in this new wave. The man guided her through difficult paths, encouraged her when she felt doubt, and taught her the subtle ways of the mountains. She listened, practiced, and learned. She felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She realized that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. One evening, as they rested by a small fire, she thought about the journey so far. She realized that the mountains had changed her perspective, her confidence, and her understanding of life. She felt grateful for the unexpected meeting that had set her on this path. She understood that life could offer surprises that transformed the ordinary into something extraordinary. She slept that night feeling safe, strong, and ready. She knew that every day ahead would bring new lessons and challenges. She felt a quiet determination to continue learning and growing. She realized that her life had shifted from routine to adventure and discovery, and that she was no longer the same person who had started the journey. Every morning she awoke with a sense of purpose. She felt the mountains calling her to explore, learn and grow. She knew that the journey was far from over, but she felt ready. She had courage. Trust and curiosity guiding her, she realized that her life was unfolding in ways she had never imagined, and that every step was meaningful and transformative. She had been traveling through the mountains for many days, and each day brought new lessons and challenges. She felt stronger and more confident, yet she knew there was still much to learn. Air was crisp and clean, and the sound of the wind moving through the trees filled her with energy. She noticed the small details around her, the way the sunlight danced on rocks and water, the patterns of animal tracks and the whispers of the forest. She felt a deep connection to the land and a growing awareness of her own strength. The man continued to guide her patiently. He showed her how to read the sky and predict weather changes, how to find safe places for shelter, and how to notice subtle signs of danger. She listened, carefully absorbing every detail. She practiced each skill with care and gradually began to trust her own judgment. She realized that courage and awareness were growing together within her. One morning they approached a narrow canyon. The walls rose high on either side, and the path was uneven. She felt a mixture of excitement and fear. She knew she could do it, but her mind hesitated. The man noticed her pause and encouraged her quietly. He showed her how to step carefully, how to balance, and how to keep her focus. She took a deep breath and followed his guidance step by step. She moved through the canyon. She felt a thrill of accomplishment. She realized that challenges were no longer frightening. They were opportunities to grow. She noticed the small details, the shape of rocks, the sound of a distant stream, and the movement of birds overhead. She felt alive in a way she had never known in her ordinary life. After the canyon, they reached a small plateau with a clear view of the mountains ahead. The wind was strong and cold but invigorating. She felt a sense of awe and determination. She realized that the mountains were testing her skills and courage. She felt ready to face whatever came next. She understood that life was not always predictable, but that preparation and awareness could carry her through as they continued the journey. She began to notice signs of a storm approaching. The clouds were dark and moving quickly. She remembered the lessons the man had taught her about safety and preparation. She felt a surge of focus and clarity. She knew they needed to find shelter quickly. She looked to the man for guidance, and he pointed to a hidden cave nearby. They moved swiftly toward the cave. She felt her heart beat faster, but she trusted her training and the man's knowledge. She noticed every step, carefully avoiding loose rocks and slippery patches. She felt the combination of fear and confidence. As she moved, she realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. When they reached the cave, the storm arrived. Suddenly, rain and wind pounded the entrance. She felt the shelter and protection of the cave and the careful preparation they had made. She watched as the storm raged outside and felt a quiet gratitude for the lessons she had learned. She realized that awareness and patience could keep her safe, even in unexpected situations. Inside the cave, the man showed her how to create a safe space using natural materials. He taught her how to make a small fire without harming the environment. She followed each instruction carefully, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. She realized that she could take care of herself and adapt to difficult situations. She felt a growing confidence in her abilities and in herself. As the storm continued, she reflected on her journey. She thought about how far she had come from the quiet town she had left behind. She realized that the mountains were more than a place. They were teachers guiding her through challenges and growth. She felt a sense of transformation within herself. She knew that each step she had taken had shaped her into someone stronger and more aware. There, man shared stories of past experiences in the mountains. His words were simple but full of wisdom. She listened and learned not just from his words, but from the way he moved and acted. She realized that experience was a teacher as powerful as knowledge. She felt a growing respect for his skill and patience. She also felt a sense of companionship and trust that strengthened with each shared moment. When the storm passed, they emerged from the cave. The world smelled fresh and alive. She noticed the clarity of the air, the sparkle of the stream, and the movement of animals returning to their routines. She felt a sense of relief and joy. She realized that challenges could bring beauty and clarity. She felt grateful for the lessons the storm had taught her. The days that followed were filled with practice and exploration. She climbed higher ridges, crossed fast streams, and learned to notice the smallest signs in the environment. She felt her body growing stronger and her mind sharper. She also felt a growing connection to the man whose guidance had been steady and reliable. She realized that trust and respect were forming a bond between them. One afternoon they discovered a hidden valley with lush greenery and a calm river. She felt a sense of wonder and excitement. She explored carefully, noticing plants, birds, and the tracks of small animals. She felt the joy of discovery and the thrill of learning. She realized that the world is full of hidden wonders, waiting for those willing to pay attention. As the days turned into weeks, she began to notice a change within herself. She was no longer the quiet woman from the town. She was becoming someone confident, capable, and aware. She felt joy in mastering new skills, courage in facing challenges, and curiosity in exploring the unknown. She realized that transformation was happening gradually, but surely. The man continued to teach her in his quiet, patient way. He encouraged her to take risks safely, to trust her instincts, and to notice the lessons in every experience. She practiced each skill, carefully learning from mistakes and successes. She felt a deepening sense of pride and accomplishment. She realized that growth came from attention, effort, and experience. One morning, as they reached a high ridge, she looked out over the vast landscape. She felt awe and excitement. She realized that every challenge she had faced had prepared her for this moment. She felt capable, ready, and alive. She understood that the mountains were not just a place, but a teacher guiding her toward strength, courage, and awareness. They spent the day exploring the ridge. She practiced moving carefully over uneven ground, noticing every detail. She learned to anticipate challenges and think ahead. She felt her body growing stronger, her mind sharper, and her confidence deeper. She realized that courage was built through practice, observation, and trust. As evening approached, they settled near a small stream. She reflected on the lessons of the day. She realized that the mountains were shaping her in ways she had never imagined. She felt gratitude for the guidance she had received, and for the unexpected meeting that had changed the path of her life. She understood that life could offer surprises that transformed the ordinary into something extraordinary. The following days were filled with more challenges. She crossed wider rivers, climbed steeper hills, and explored deeper forests. She felt her abilities growing. She also felt a growing connection to the man who had become her guide and companion. She realized that trust, respect, and shared experience could create deep bonds. She began to see herself in a new light. She was no longer the quiet woman from the town. She was becoming someone confident, capable, and aware. She felt the thrill of discovery and the quiet satisfaction of mastering new skills. She realized that change was gradual and came with patience and effort. One afternoon, they found a hidden waterfall. She explored the area carefully, noticing every detail. She felt a sense of awe and excitement. She realized that the mountains held secrets and wonders waiting to be discovered. She felt a deep appreciation for the world around her and the lessons it offered. As the days passed, she continued to grow and learn. She felt her senses sharpen, her mind open, and her heart full. She realized that every challenge, every step, and every observation was shaping her into a stronger and wiser person. She felt courage, curiosity, and a quiet joy in being alive in this new way. The man guided her through difficult paths, encouraged her when she felt doubt, and taught her the subtle ways of the mountains. She listened, practiced, and learned. She felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She realized that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. One evening, as they rested by a small fire, she thought about the journey so far. She realized that the mountains had changed her perspective, confidence, and understanding of life. She felt grateful for the unexpected meeting that had set her on this path. She understood that life could offer surprises that transformed the ordinary into something extraordinary. She slept that night feeling safe, strong, and ready. She knew that every day ahead would bring new lessons and challenges. She felt a quiet determination to continue learning and growing. She realized that her life had shifted from routine to adventure and discovery, and that she was no longer the same person who had started the journey. She traveled through the mountains for many weeks, and every day had brought lessons, challenges, and discoveries. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment and growth. She was no longer the quiet woman from the town. She was confident, capable, and aware of the world. Around her she noticed the small details, the patterns of nature, the sounds of animals, and the movement of wind and water. She felt connected to the mountains and to herself in a way she had never experienced before. The man continued to guide her with patience and quiet strength. He showed her how to move safely over rocky terrain, how to find food and water, and how to observe the world with care and respect. She practiced each skill, carefully feeling her abilities grow. She realized that she could face challenges with confidence and courage. She felt a deep sense of pride in what she had accomplished, and a quiet joy in the simple beauty of the mountains. One morning, they reached a high ridge that overlooked a vast valley. She paused and took a deep breath. The view was breathtaking. She could see rivers winding through forest's hills, rising in the distance, and the sunlight reflecting off distant peaks. She felt a thrill of excitement and awe. She realized that the mountains had given her more than skills. They had given her perspective, courage, and a new way of seeing life. Man pointed to the valley and showed her hidden paths, small streams, and areas where animals gathered. He encouraged her to notice every detail and to trust her instincts. She followed his guidance carefully, feeling her confidence and awareness growing with each step. She realized that she was capable of understanding the world in ways she had never imagined. As they moved through the valley, she discovered small wonders. She watched birds fly gracefully over the river, noticed the tracks of deer and rabbits in the soil, and saw wildflowers blooming in quiet corners. She felt a sense of joy and wonder. She realized that life was full of beauty if she paid attention. She also understood that every step forward required care, patience, and respect for the world. Around her, the days continued with learning and exploration. She practiced climbing steep hills, crossing fast streams, and observing the environment with attention. She felt her body growing stronger and her mind sharper. She also felt a growing trust and connection with the man, whose guidance had been steady. Impatient, she realized that trust, respect, and shared experience could create deep bonds. One afternoon, they found a hidden glade with a calm river. She rested by the water and reflected on her journey. She thought about how far she had come from the town she had left behind. She realized that the mountains had changed her perspective, her confidence, and her understanding of life. She felt gratitude for the guidance she had received and for the unexpected encounter that had altered her paths. The sun moved lower in the sky. They continued walking. She noticed the colors changing, the way shadows stretched, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. She felt a quiet peace and clarity. She realized that the mountains were teaching her not just survival skills, but life lessons, patience, observation, and the importance of trust. She felt a growing sense of purpose and belonging. The following days, she continued to explore. She discovered hidden streams, waterfalls, and quiet meadows. She practiced her skills carefully, learning from mistakes and successes. She felt her body and mind growing stronger. She also felt a sense of independence and confidence. She realized that she could navigate challenges with courage and care, and that her life was no longer confined to the routine she had known. The man shared more stories of his experiences in the mountains. His words were simple, but full of meaning. She listened attentively, feeling a deeper understanding of the world. She realized that experience was a teacher as powerful as knowledge. She felt respect, admiration, and gratitude. She also felt a sense of companionship and trust that strengthened with each shared moment. One morning, they reached a high peak. She looked out over the vast landscape and felt awe, excitement, and a quiet sense of accomplishment. She realized that every challenge she had faced had prepared her for this moment. She felt capable, ready, and alive. She understood that the mountains were not just a place, but a teacher guiding her toward courage, awareness, and growth. They spent the day exploring the peak. She practiced moving carefully over rocks and steep paths, noticing every detail. She felt her body and mind working together. She realized that confidence and courage came from careful attention, practice, and experience. She also felt a deep sense of connection to the man who had guided her with patience and wisdom. Evening approached. They settled near a small stream. She reflected on the journey. She realized that the mountains had transformed her perspective, confidence, and understanding of life. She felt gratitude for the guidance she had received and for the unexpected meeting that had changed her path. She understood that life could offer surprises that transformed the ordinary into something extraordinary. The days that followed were filled with exploration and learning. She crossed rivers, climbed hills, and explored forests. She felt her abilities growing. She also felt a deepening connection to the man, realized that trust, respect, and shared experience had created a bond that went beyond words. She felt gratitude and a quiet joy in the companionship. She began to see herself in a new light. She was no longer the quiet woman from the town. She was confident, capable, and aware. She felt joy in discovering new skills, courage in facing challenges, and curiosity in exploring the unknown. She realized that transformation was gradual and came from attention, effort, and experience. One afternoon, they discovered a hidden waterfall. She explored the area carefully. Noticing every detail, she felt awe and excitement. She realized that the mountains held secrets and wonders. She felt a deep appreciation for the world and the lessons it offered. As the days passed, she continued to grow and learn. She felt her senses sharpen, her mind open, and her heart full. She realized that every challenge, every step, and every observation had shaped her into a stronger and wiser person. She felt courage, curiosity, and a quiet joy in being alive in this new way. The man guided her through difficult paths, encouraged her when she felt doubt, and taught her the subtle ways of the mountains. She listened, practiced, and learned. She felt pride and accomplishment. She realized that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. One evening, as they rested by a small fire, she thought about the journey. She realized that the mountains had changed her perspective, confidence, and understanding. She felt grateful for the unexpected meeting that had set her on this path. She understood that life could offer surprises that transformed the ordinary into something extraordinary. She slept that night feeling safe, strong, and ready. She knew that every day ahead would bring new lessons and challenges. She felt a quiet determination to continue learning and growing. She realized that her life had shifted from routine to adventure and discovery. She knew she would never be the same person she had been before then. Next morning, she woke with a sense of excitement. She looked at the mountains with wonder. She felt ready for whatever lay ahead. She had courage, curiosity, and trust guiding her. She realized that her life was now full of meaning and purpose. She felt a quiet joy in the transformation that had taken place as they continued through the mountains. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey. She realized that every step, every challenge, and every moment of learning had led to this change. She felt stronger, wiser, and more alive. She knew that the mountains and the unexpected guidance she had received had given her a life that was fuller, richer, and more meaningful than she had ever imagined. She walked with confidence and awareness. Noticing the beauty around her, she felt a connection to the world and to herself that she had never known. She understood that her life had been transformed by courage, curiosity, and trust. She realized that the mountains had given her more than skills they had given her, a new way of seeing life and a story she would carry forever. She had spent many weeks in the mountains, and each day had taught her something new. She felt a growing strength in her body and clarity in her mind. She was no longer afraid of challenges, but instead welcomed them as opportunities to learn and grow. She noticed the way the sun moved over the hills, the sound of birds in the trees, and the quiet rhythm of streams. She felt connected to the mountains and to herself in ways she had never experienced before. The man walked beside her, guiding when necessary and giving her space when she needed to explore. She appreciated his patience and the way he let her discover things on her own. She realized that learning came not only from instruction, but also from experience and observation. She began to trust her instincts more and more with each passing day. One morning, they came across a dense part of the forest. The trees were thick, and the light barely touched the ground. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She knew it would be a challenge to move through, but she also felt ready. She followed the man carefully, noticing every detail: the moss on the trees, the direction of the wind, and the small tracks in the dirt. She felt her senses sharpening and her mind focusing as they moved deeper into the forest. she discovered small plants she had never seen before. Birds flitted above her, and she could hear small animals moving through the underbrush. She felt a deep sense of wonder and curiosity. She realized that the world was full of hidden details, and that careful attention revealed them. She also felt a quiet joy in being able to observe and learn. The man showed her how to gather plants safely and how to recognize which ones could be used for food or medicine. She listened carefully. Practicing each step, she realized that knowledge came with responsibility and that the mountains were teaching her not only survival, but respect. She felt a growing confidence in her abilities and a deeper appreciation for the natural world. As the days passed, she faced more challenges. She climbed steep hills, crossed fast streams, and navigated narrow paths. She felt fear at times, but she also felt courage. She remembered the lessons of patience, observation, and trust. She realized that every challenge was an opportunity to learn, and that she was capable of more than she had imagined. One afternoon, they discovered a hidden waterfall. She stood quietly watching the water cascade down the rocks. She felt awe and excitement. She realized that the mountains were full of wonders waiting to be discovered. She felt grateful for the guidance she had received and for the opportunity to explore. She understood that life could be full of unexpected beauty if she paid attention. During the following days, she continued to practice her skills. She learned to move quietly through the forest, to notice signs of animals, and to find safe paths. She felt her confidence growing. She also felt a deepening connection to the man who had become her guide and companion. She realized that trust, respect, and shared experience could create bonds that were meaningful and lasting. One morning, they reached a high ridge overlooking a wide valley. She paused to take in the view. The rivers winding through the forests, the distant hills, and the peaks glowing in the sunlight filled her with wonder. She felt a sense of freedom and possibility. She realized that the mountains had given her more than skills. They had given her perspective, courage, and a new way of seeing life. The man showed her how to observe the valley, to notice signs of weather and animal activity. He encouraged her to trust her instincts and to pay attention to the smallest details. She practiced carefully, noticing every movement, every sound, and every change. She felt her awareness expanding and her confidence deepening. As the days turned into weeks, she noticed a change within herself. She was no longer the quiet woman from the town. She was confident, capable, and aware. She felt joy in mastering new skills, courage in facing challenges, and curiosity in exploring the unknown. She realized that transformation was gradual and came from patience, practice, and observation. They encountered sudden storms and difficult paths, but she faced them with courage and calm. She remembered the lessons the man had taught her about preparation, observation, and trust. She realized that challenges were part of life and that each one brought growth. She felt a deep satisfaction in being able to navigate difficulties successfully. The man shared stories of his past experiences in the mountains. His words were simple, but full of meaning. She listened attentively, feeling a deeper understanding of the world. She realized that experience was a powerful teacher, and that every challenge she faced was shaping her into a stronger and wiser person. She felt respect, admiration, and gratitude for his guidance. One afternoon, they found a quiet glade. She explored the area, noticing the plants and animals. She felt a sense of joy in discovery and a thrill in learning. She realized that the mountains were teaching her patience, courage, and observation. She felt her senses sharpen and her mind expand. The days continued. She practiced climbing higher hills, crossing wider streams, and navigating dense forests. She felt her body growing stronger, her mind sharper, and her confidence deeper. She realized that courage was built through experience, observation, and trust. She also felt a growing bond with the man who had guided her with patience and wisdom. She began to see herself in a new light. She was no longer the quiet woman from the town. She was confident, capable, and aware. She felt joy in mastering new skills, courage in facing challenges, and curiosity in exploring the unknown. She realized that transformation came slowly but surely through practice, effort, and attention. One evening, as they rested by a small stream, she realized that the mountains had changed her perspective, confidence, and understanding. She felt gratitude for the guidance she had received and for the unexpected meeting that had set her on this path. She understood that life could offer surprises that transformed the ordinary into something extraordinary. She slept that night feeling safe, strong, and ready. She knew that every day ahead would bring new lessons and challenges. She felt a quiet determination to continue learning and growing. She realized that her life had shifted from routine to adventure and discovery. She knew she would never be the same person she had been before.